Thanks for joining us for Devotionables, brief devotions for busy people. Our pastor recently shared a word with us from Psalm 100, and just a short devotion, probably about 10 minutes. So I wanted to share it with you. It'll be over the course of the next 2 episodes. So we'll do the first part of Psalm 100 for about 5 minutes. Join us on Wednesday and finish it up with this. But it's an encouraging word. Shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Be blessed today. Here's Pastor Cook.
Shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come before him with joyful songs. Know that the Lord is God. It is he who made us, and we are his. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and praise his name, for the Lord is good, and his love endures forever. His faithfulness continues through all generations. Listen to just the verbs. The very first word in the New International Version translation is shout. Shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Now, we're walking around with our shoulders slumped and with a dark cloud over our head day in and day out, and we might wonder, what is there to shout to joy for? What is there to be grateful to God for? But you'll notice he says, shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. All humanity, all of God's creation can sing for joy to the Lord because of who he is, because of what he's done. And what he's done for us is incalculable. He has been so good and gracious and kind. And we need to pick our chins up off the ground. We need to quit whining and crying about the circumstances that we are in. Literally, the entire world are in the same circumstances that we are in. The advantage is, in our world, we're able to meet together. We're not meeting under the cover of darkness. We're not meeting in buildings and out-of-the-way places under the cover of darkness. We're able to meet as the people of God, to worship the Son of God for the glory of God and minister to one another. We have much to shout shout for joy to the Lord for. The second verb after shout is the word worship. Worship the Lord with gladness. Really, he's saying very much the same thing as he said in the previous line. To shout for joy to the Lord is to worship the Lord with gladness, not with gloom and doom, but with gladness, not because of the circumstances that we are in, maybe are the easiest circumstances or the most pleasant of circumstances that we've ever been in. Our life situation may be very hard right now, but we are to worship the Lord with gladness. I praise God for our worship pastor, our worship team, our technicians that run the sound, for the musicians and the vocalists, because when they get up here, they've got a wonderful task, and that is to lead the people of God into the presence of God. And it ought to be easy for them to do, and typically it is very easy for them to do. It's a little bit more difficult in the 8:30 service than it is in the other two services. But we ought to worship the Lord with gladness. He says, come before him with joyful songs. All of those 3 lines. Shout for joy to the Lord, worship the Lord, come before him with joyful songs. All encourage us to be lovers of God through song. We ought to sing. We ought to sing often. We ought to sing not just on Sunday. We ought to sing throughout the week. I'll let you into a little secret into my private world of idiocy. I have essentially, and so I'm not against secular music. There's a lot of good secular music, popular secular music. I'm not against that. I would be against music that propagates profanity, sexual immorality, and things and the abuse of women and children, which is music that is sometimes sung. But I would find at night when I would wake up, and I tell you, I wake up every night, sometime at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and what I found was that what was radiating through my head was the music that I listened to that day, And some of it, there was nothing wrong with it. It wasn't immoral music. It wasn't awful music. In fact, it was very pleasant music, but it wasn't the kind of music that would help get me back to sleep. George Harrison isn't going to help you sleep. And so that you don't know who George Harrison is. George Harrison is not going to help you go back to sleep. And so I've gone back to completely listening to praise worship music, to wonderful hymns of the faith. And then when I wake up at night, those are the songs that begin to go through my mind. And so these first three stanzas all have to do with worship. We ought to do anything we can and everything we can to inspire greater worship in ourselves and in one another.